Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Cooking with the Independent Foodie. For those who are cooking along today, we're going to do what we normally do. We're going to go down to the ingredients and make sure that you all have all your ingredients prepared if you're cooking now. If not, if you're cooking later, like some of you are, that's great. I hope this inspires you to make, a great Thai dish. Okay, so what we're cooking today is the Thai dish. I'm not going to say the name because it's really difficult for me to say it, so I'm going to pretend like I don't know it. But what we are going to be doing is making the Thai basil chicken. So we're going to I'm using 500 grams of chicken thigh. Now what's really, really important about this dish, because it's a very quick cook, you've got to cut the chicken pieces very small. So roughly about a centimeter or centimeter and a half, roughly. So little pieces of chicken, which you're going to be frying off very quickly in the wok, together with the Asian vegetables. So like I said, very quick dish. So make sure you got your chicken prepared correctly. That's the most important part. We're going to be using very few ingredients today, but very fresh ingredients. We're going to be using spring onion. So you got your spring onion, using 2 parts of your spring onion. You're cutting off the separate white bits, so you're keeping them at the bottom. That's going to go in at the beginning. And then towards the end of the dish, you're going to be using the green parts of your spring onion. So what you want to do is chop your spring onion into 4 parts. So it's 4 equal parts. And then the white bits you want to chop up finely and leave the green bits longer for adding later on. That's Thai red chili, which I've used. We've chopped that up very finely, and I'm using roughly 3 chilies in my cooking today. You can add more chili if you like more heat or less according to your preferences. Then basil, ideally you should get something called holly basil, which is a Thai basil. Now unfortunately, I didn't have that, so I'm using normal Thai basil, and you can use the holly basil's got more of a star anise type taste to it, but very difficult to find in the UK. In South Africa, it's called tulsi leaf, and that's readily available in South Africa as well. So what I've done is I've chopped up 4 cloves of garlic, very finely chopped, as you can see. Nobody wants a mouthful of garlic. Garlic can be quite bitter. 2 teaspoons, in my case, 2 teaspoons of, I'm using caster sugar because I didn't have normal sugar. You can use brown sugar or white sugar, just 2 teaspoons of that. And that's going to go into the sauce. Now the sauce is obviously the most important part of the dish. Traditionally, when you order this from restaurants, you get this really gloopy, heavy sauce that, this chicken comes floating in. In the traditional way that it's done in Thailand, you basically just want to coat your chicken with the sauce, right? So when you see what we're doing today, it's going to be lots of sauce, it'll be a little bit of sauce, but you want to make sure you infuse those flavors into your chicken. Okay, got my stove warming up there, the pan's warming up. And you're going to be using 3 things that are really, really important. You're using a dark soy sauce, that's 2 teaspoons of that. You're going to use 2 teaspoons of a light soy sauce. And then roughly 5 teaspoons of your oyster sauce. Now, I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons because I put a bit more chicken in mine. But it's traditionally around 5 teaspoons of your oyster sauce should be sufficient. And then you're also going to add 2 tablespoons of water to your sauce. Okay, so what we're going to do is make the sauce first, and then we're going to then start off the oil in the pan. We're going to be using today, which I hardly use, I'm using vegetable oil. You can use any sort of oil, preferably a vegetable oil, an oil that's not too richly flavored. Now, some people use sesame oil. I wouldn't recommend using sesame oil for this dish because it's got a very, very strong flavor, right? So use your normal groundnut oil or just a vegetable oil for this cook. Okay, so what you want to be doing now is, I'm going to bring you down so you can see what I'm doing here. Right, so we're going to put starting off with your dark soy sauce. You're going to add roughly 2 teaspoons of that in. 1, 2. Then you want to add your 2 teaspoons of your light soy sauce that's going in. 1, 2. Okay. And like I said, we then want to add roughly 2 tablespoons of your oyster sauce. Okay, 1 and and 2. Okay, and then you want to add your sugar. So it's roughly 2 teaspoons of sugar that's in there. That's gone in. Sorry, and then what we're going to do now is add 2 tablespoons of water to mix that all together. So roughly 1, 2. Okay. And also got my brother online today and my little nephew Tyrese. Welcome, nice to be able to join us. Yeah, so the cornstarch is going to go in when I put the chicken in. So thank you, Richard, for reminding me. I only add the cornstarch. So normally people mix the cornstarch into this to give it a nice sort of thicker sauce. I saw something online which I'm going to try. So bear with me, it could go totally wrong, but the cornstarch will be coming in. I just need to get that as well. Okay, so I'm going to just leave that there for a second. I'm going to put you down to the pan and get the oil ready, and then we're going to start to cook. So as soon as you can see that, there we go. Oh. Okay, got that. Okay, the pan is currently on. That's just been warming. So what we're going to be doing now is adding our oil. And what's going in there is 3 tablespoons of oil. Now I know you're all probably thinking, Dion, every week you say 1 tablespoon of oil, and this week you're just going crazy with oil. Unfortunately, this dish does call for lots of oil, and make sure your wok is really, really hot. Okay. Okay, so we got 1, 2, oh, we'll call that 3. So that's 3 in there. Okay. So the cornstarch is going to be going in once the chicken goes in. So we're just going to sprinkle about a teaspoon or 2 of cornstarch into that. You'll spot that my wok is now burnt because earlier on I was stupid enough to try and roast some sesame seeds in there and walked away to feed Charlie and came back to a some burnt sesame seeds. Okay. So I've got the wok currently on 7. I want it really hot because I'm going to do a very quick, we can very quickly fry off the garlic and the chili first. And the cooker's going to go really, really quick. Once this oil reaches temperature, okay, so the wok is nice and hot. Now remember, we don't want to burn the garlic, we just want the garlic to get slightly crispy. So you put your garlic in there very quickly. You wrap your chili in very quickly. Oops. One straight. Okay, just be careful because you get a very, very strong smell and it's bad for your eyes. And then you want to chop, okay, that's just very quick. And now you want to chop your chicken in. Okay, so that's 500 grams of chicken going in there. And you really want to move this chicken around and you want to fry this chicken off very, very quickly, right? Because, like I said, cut the chicken in very small pieces and just make sure that it cooks through. So back it up to 7 again. And you want the chicken to seal and to go white. Now, very importantly, when you're cooking this this dish, you want to remove majority of the fat. So make sure you take off all of the fat from the skin if possible. And you want to keep mixing this chicken through. Make sure you keep stirring it. Now, if I was doing this just for myself, a smaller portion, it'd be easier to cook it very quickly because you just keep stir frying a small amount of chicken at a time. But I'm doing a large batch today, so it's going to take a bit longer to cook when you're cooking this amount. If you're doing a small batch for yourself, it should take roughly 3 or 4 minutes, or 4 to 5 minutes, just to get that chicken really cooked and sealed. You'll also notice there's no salt going in here. All the salt is coming from the sauce that we've made earlier. Just keep mixing that through, make sure everything's dissolved, your sugars, etc. You want to add only the white bits of the spring onion. So the little pieces at the bottom, the root bits, you add that in there. And you let that cook. Okay, so now you've got those in there. Just mix that up. Okay, just let that cook for a bit.
Very important to make your chicken is cooked through. You don't want to give anybody food poisoning, right? So just let that cook for a bit.
Okay, I'm going to add my fish sauce now. I'm not putting the fish sauce into that sauce. I'm putting it directly into the chicken. It's got a very strong smell. So I'm putting about a teaspoon of fish sauce in there. Let's go 1.5 teaspoons. Let's go 2 teaspoons of fish sauce in there. It's better. If you like fish sauce, then obviously add 2 teaspoons. If you don't, you can leave it out. It's not that important. It's not a mandatory thing. I like the smell of fish sauce. It just adds another depth of flavor into the actual chicken. Okay. So mix it up still. Right, at this point you also want to add about 1 teaspoon of your corn flour. Like I said, some people add it to the sauce. I'm adding it to the chicken, and that way it doesn't clump up your sauce later on. Okay, so I'm putting a nice heaped teaspoon in there, sprinkling on top, and you want to cook that through. Just make sure you mix that through. Chicken's starting to cook off nicely. Got some lovely juices at the bottom. Okay, so we've got about another 3 minutes for the rice to be ready, and then we'll start to finalize this dish. I'm just making sure that the chicken is properly cooked. Obviously, when you're cooking at home, check your preference, check your chicken, make sure obviously chicken has to be fully cooked. Make sure that you obviously cooking it but not killing it. In the sense you don't want it to go hard and rubbery. You want chicken still to be soft, and you want it to start to take these flavors in. So what we're going to be adding now is our mixture. Remember, it's 2 tablespoons of your oyster sauce that's gone in here. You've got 2 teaspoons of your dark soy sauce. You've got 2 teaspoons of your light soy sauce, and you've mixed it all together with some sugar and some water, 2 tablespoons of water as well. And what you're going to do is pour that lovely sauce through your chicken. Make sure you get everything out of there. Okay, and now you want this to cook off. You want all this liquid to cook off, because you don't want this chicken floating in too much of liquid. You just want to get all the lovely flavor into your actual chicken. So mix that through for another 2-3 minutes. You can let that cook in those juices, and that should start to thicken up and become a bit more of a glaze on the chicken. There's lovely flavors coming through, lovely smells coming through the kitchen at the moment. Just going to keep cooking that. Okay, so I'm going to let that sort of sit there for a bit and let it reduce. Okay. And if you want to thicken that sauce up a bit more, you can add a bit more of your corn flour as well. So the key thing here, obviously the next step, once this is cooked to your preference, you're then going to add your green onion, your green spring onion. So the green parts are going to go in, and then we're going to finish off with the Thai basil. And all you want to do is just basically let that wilt slightly. You don't want to overcook that. You want to still have a bit of crunch in your onion, and you want to have those lovely flavors coming through from the basil as well. Okay. Taste the chicken and see if it's cooked. Okay, that's the rice done. And this is the joys of a rice steamer. It's perfectly cooked every time. And you can see you've got perfectly cooked. If you can see. What I'm going to start doing now is getting the rice ready for plating. This looks like a big white light, sorry about that. And you know, you can add another, I would say maybe another teaspoon of corn starch, corn flour into that as well. Because even though it's thickening up, it's not where it needs to be. So we're just going to add another teaspoon in there. And mix that through. It's got this amazing smell at the moment. The sauce feels nice and thick. Okay, at this point you want to add your green onion in there. Mix that up. And then you also want to put your fresh basil. So I'm using probably half of that, around 70 grams. And you just want to put that through as well. Remember, you just want to have lots of lovely fresh flavor in there. And you don't want this to sort of lose its texture, right? So I'm putting the stalks as well in there. And just mix that through. There's this lovely basil smell coming through the kitchen at the moment. And like I said, all you want to do is infuse that flavor in. You don't want this to be shriveled up and cooked completely. You want them still to be crunchy. And just to really sort of get that lovely flavor coming through. Okay, so let that cook for roughly another minute or two. And then that is done.
We'll start placing up as well. Lovely smell of the jasmine rice. So I used the cloves Thai jasmine rice, which is what goes very nicely with this dish. It is rather hot, so put that in there for you.
So we've got our rice ready to go in there. And the next thing obviously is to add this beautiful sauce and chicken. And that is our chicken cooked. So I'm going to quickly show you the chicken before I place it. So that's what you end up with. So that's what it should look like when it's done. Hopefully you can all see that. And I'm going to plate it up quickly and then take it off. A little bit of that gravy, not too much. And if you want to, you can add some fresh sesame seeds on top if you want to sprinkle some on there. That's what I'm doing to mine. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our Thai style chicken with basil. I hope you enjoyed the cook with me today and look forward to you joining me next week. Now, just a quick request today from me. As this is supposed to be the Independent Foodie and Friends, if any of you would like to cook along with me in the sense that you actually do the cooking and I cook along with you, let me know. If there's any dishes you want me to be making for you or you'd like to try, let me know as well, and then we can make sure we do those for you. Thank you again for joining me. It's been another fun adventure, and we'll see you all next week. Have a lovely evening and see you all soon. Take care and good night.